Okay, so hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CA Esports. And actually, this is a very exciting one because this is finally, after a couple months off, we get to do our post-game analysis that, this channel is sort of built on. So, as always, I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is...
Christopher
Calls. Awesome. So, for those of you who were living under a rock this weekend, or... just weren't watching for some reason or didn't know what was happening because you were on Twitch and it wasn't there and you didn't realize it was on YouTube.
Yeah, you were like looking forever.
Yeah, where'd it go? The Toronto Defiant played their first game versus the Paris Symmetra. They actually opened up the Overwatch League with a bang. We won 3-1.
Sweet.
Which was sweet. And it was a win. It was a good chance for us to sort of see, the brand new roster in action. And although we went up against a fairly, what I would consider depleted Paris Eternal team, we still came in on top. So with that out of the way, let's just get right into it. Chris, what sort of stood out to you the most?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot to go over here. I mean, I just want to point out to Paris, XZI or Izzy or
yeah, it's like XZ. I think it's XZ.
XZ. He was a really good hit scan. He was making some really big plays. He was having me sweating for sure.
Yeah, he was incredible, yeah.
During the whole game, to be honest.
No, well, I think before I cut you off, I think XZ had the most damage per 10 minutes over the whole weekend out of any player.
Yeah. I mean, he's really the label up and coming because he made some pretty big plays. But I just want to point out that Kariv, I'm sorry for downing you before, Kariv had some amazing alt denying plays. I think on big one, Eichenwald was Izzy Z went around the side. It was second point. We almost capped it, and he pulled out a dead eye, and Kariv just popped right behind a little bit of cover, popped up, shot him twice, and killed him for his own.
Oh yeah, I know. No, that was super, and he actually did it again. So from a little side tangent here, but we're doing like highlights on our Twitter and Instagram page. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, check it out. But there was another point on Horizon Lunar Colony, which I was going to do, and I didn't even notice it. And the only reason I noticed it is you got to really slow it down. But when they're taking the top point for point B, he actually, XZ, again, pulls at the Deadeye, and Kariv just jumps and sleeps him and goes back down, and then they end up full capping. And it's one of the reasons why we won Horizon Lunar Colony.
Yeah.
Because fun fact about that map, we actually lost 60% of our team fights on Horizon Lunar Colony, and we still ended up winning the map. And it's just because, again, we were able to snowball and full hold, full cap. And then again, on defense, we were able to full hold. So, no, I thought Kariv had a really good game too.
Yeah, I mean, when we weren't doing too well on first point for attacking and defense, and I think a lot of that was because of the sim.
Okay, wait, first point or first map?
Sorry, first point on Lunar Colony.
On Lunar Colony, yeah, and also first map, both were because of the sim. But continue.
and also on first map, both because of the sim. Once again, that kind of brings up once again a little bit of an adaptability thing that I was harping on a lot during their inaugural season.
Yeah.
Was like Toronto Defiant's inability to adapt. But it turned and it kind of makes sense. They said they weren't really scrimming a lot playing against Sim, which doesn't really make sense. I don't know why they wouldn't have done that a lot, considering
I don't think Sim's meta, that's why.
I know, but if you had a whole boot camp, you're scrimming a lot of other teams, you had a whole off season. Was there never a time when you were facing a Sim?
Well, the biggest thing to me is, and it actually goes back to some of the issues we had last year with their inability to adapt. And I think you notice that the most with, again, we probably scrimmed because the meta that you sort of saw out of the weekend was a lot of Reinhardt Diva with the McCree May, right? And an Ana Lucio. And because I think Smex, who is Paris's off tank until Hanbin comes in, who, by the way, you want to talk about how good XZ is. Just wait until Sparkle and Hampton come in. They're both supposed to be better. This team is low-key really dangerous. But anyways, so Smex didn't show up, which means this team just ran Rein Orisa the entire time. And that's why one of the reasons why I think the Symmetra caught them off guard. But that's why I was so surprised that we made 0 adaptations to counter the Rein Orisa Symmetra strategy. And I was a little bit disappointed, especially with Kariv running the Ana. I know he had a good showing, and I know his sleep darts were able to negate a lot of the ultimates. But at some point, is Moira not just better? Do you know what I mean? Like, would you not just swap out the Moira so that you can put the damage orbs through the shields? Obviously, Coalescence is an extremely good ultimate to go up against the Reinhardt Orisa. I mean, I understand that the Ana helps more with the D.Va, pressuring a lot of people, but they weren't really running a lot of sniper. They were kind of running this death pull composition. So you think that the Moira would be more beneficial. So I was surprised that they wouldn't switch up their strategy. It felt like, especially on map 1 where they just got rolled, right? We lost like 75% of our team fights. It wasn't even close. That coming off of that, there was no adaptation. They were just like, well, here's a better comp and here's what we scrimmed, so we're just going to run it. Which I kind of liked, but at the same time, I was like, I want to see some adaptation.
It is a little weird because you're like, yeah, I want to put Moria in, but I can't, like, with hindsight, you can't harp them too much because he had the clutch plays that are only possible with an Ana.
No, it's true. It is true. And it is Kariv's like signature hero, right? Everybody, like Kariv was a former Widowmaker player when he first came into the league, right? So Ana does suit his playstyle the best. He was also pumping out a ton of healing. So not only did he have the ult negations, he really was. I think like over the weekend he was like the third or second highest healing Ana over the whole weekend, which is really cool. But with that said, since we're talking about the first point, let's just get into the decision that Toronto chose to run with logics and agilities to start off. So like what was going through your mind when you saw the starting roster and Surefour wasn't a part of it?
It's hard to say. Like, I think that, see, I don't know why they necessarily run agilities. I knew like Logix is like, okay, maybe he's like had a season with them. He has a little more experience with Toronto Defiant. But I think it was more just map dependent. I do remember when I was watching, and this kind of may seem kind of a dumb reason, but I heard the caster say, quote, he doesn't like playing he doesn't like playing point. He doesn't like playing that type of map. He likes playing.
Surefour doesn't like playing.
Surefour doesn't like playing that type of map. That's what they said. So I was like,
I didn't even hear that. I was at the live event. That's why. So I didn't hear the announcer say that. That's funny.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I want to think it's maybe for some other reason, but it may simply be because he didn't want to.
Well, I hope that's not why, because I mean, obviously, this team looked a lot better with him in the lineup. Logix's Reaper was okay. He was pretty aggressive. He died first actually quite a bit for his Reaper, and it's not good. I don't like that because Agilities also dies first a lot for Mei. Like both Logix and Agilities are really, really aggressive. And it's like fine because Agilities had a lot of clutch moments. And again, looking at the Stats Lab beta, which I was playing around with last night, in terms of his ability to get the pick first, it was significantly ahead of Surefour's, right? Agilities did a lot more damage on the Mei, and he was able to get the first pick a lot more than Surefour, but he also died first a lot more. And his team fight win percentage, just him individually, was 41%, whereas Surefour's was 56%. So this team clearly does better with Surefour in the lineup. So I hope this isn't a consistent thing where we just don't play Surefour only because he doesn't want to. If there's other reasons, like you want to get Logic's playtime, or you, especially on Lijiang Tower, right? Maybe for the point that we didn't see, which was the Lighthouse one. Obviously, Far Widow lends itself pretty well to that map, so maybe they had that in their back pocket where they were like, hey, if we run into that one, we run Far Widow, and then we just got unlucky and we didn't see it. That's a potential.
It is potential, and
with D.Va being as
but
mobile as she is,
it's not completely out of the question.
Yeah,
it's not like, oh my gosh, why the hell did you do that? I was like, okay, I mean, it wasn't the best move, but like, it was a move. But quoting me last time we talked about this is the matchup between Logix and Z, and Logix just dangled on him.
Oh, for Widow though. Not for Reaper Widow and not McCree. But the Widow matchup was insane. And actually, I want to bring up a point because I had this written down, and I'll let you finish yours. Sorry. But you'll actually watch, when you rewatch Shyvana on the third point, I believe, Logix is going Reaper, and he has ultimate. And Z switches to the Mei, or sorry, the Widowmaker, and he actually swaps off Reaper with the ultimate, Death Blossom, to take that Widow 1v1. Like, what a boss move, you know what I mean? Logix was just feeling himself, and he just knew he could take it. So he was like, screw the value we're getting off of this ultimate. I'm taking that Widow 1v1.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, he controlled the sightlines, right?
Yeah.
You know, once you control the sightlines, it makes it so much harder for a Widow to get an advantageous sightline to be able to contest you.
Yeah.
which is why you saw him being able to just dangle on Z at the spawn on first point Havana. And then the one kill when Toronto was on attack towards third point was just dirty, where he just popped up in the air, caught Z. It was amazing.
It was even better because he was actually teabagging. I forget which character. He was teabagging someone right beforehand, and the cast was like, "Oh, Logix with the tactical crouch," and then he hook shot Z right afterwards.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and they did top 5 plays of the weekend, and that wasn't on it, and I think that was a shame because I understand McGravy's 6K bomb was number 1, but other than that, I think this was the top play of the weekend. So I was disappointed to see Logix not get some love.
Yeah. But another person I wanted to touch on is Beasthalo.
I was literally just going to bring that up.
Well, we're thinking the same thing. What are your thoughts on him?
So Beast had... See, I have this really interesting thing about Beast. Okay, so this is going to a little bit of a rant here, but going into this year, everybody was trashing on Beast, right? It was like the thing to do. Everyone had already written Beast as a bottom 5 main tank in this league, even before he played a game, which never made any sense to me.
Which is silly.
Especially considering his age and his history with Fusion University, and it doesn't matter. It didn't make any sense to me to just write him off as a bottom 5. So then we see him play this match, and then now the narrative has changed seemingly overnight that not only is Beasthalo not a bottom 5 or not a bottom 5 main tank, but he's now really good at the game. It seems like it one match was played, everyone's like, Beast is sick. Oh my god, how good was Beast? And I'm like, okay guys, let's take it.
Relax.
Let's take it easy for a second, okay? I think Beast had a really good game. I think he struggled early on. His first, we saw it play on the screen earlier. His first shatter was just brutal. It was brutal. It was a brutal shatter. There was a Maywall and a Rista shield and a Reinhardt shield, and he just shattered. I don't know what was going on. And I'm going to put that to nerves, which is fine. So again, if someone debuts in their 19, the way you want to see it go is the first map's their worst, the second map is their second worst, in the third, and then they finish off really strong, which is exactly what he did because he was incredible on Havana. And if you guys saw,
he did make a couple mistakes here and there. I remember on our D first point Havana when we were clapping Paris at their spawn, he did overextend and just kind of push right up against the door where you leave. Without his team, and he got killed there. So he seems like a pretty aggressive guy.
Yeah,
he's doing some big pin-ins, and
it's because Beasthalo actually had the most damage per 10 minutes out of any Reinhardt over the weekend. He was number 1, so he was pumping a ton of damage. Yeah, and that Shatter Bomb combo, which if you guys haven't seen, I posted the highlight on Twitter, where Nevix throws a bomb up, and the second, so literally the bomb's about to explode, Bembest at the last second looks at the bomb, obviously waiting for it to blow up, and then look back at Beast to block the shatter, and within that one frame of him doing the quick flick, Beast lands the shatter perfectly, and it causes the bomb to go off and kill Bembest. It was an incredible play to watch. Really, really cool stuff. So I think Beast had a pretty good game. I think as it progressed, he did really well. He received a lot of resources, although his healing was also number 1, healing received out of any of the Reinhardt. So he did the most damage. He also received the most healing to sort of generate that space. But by the end of it, I was pretty confident. I'm excited to see where things go. All of a sudden, people have this has, solidified Beasthalo. He has arrived. He's one of the best. And I'm like, okay, guys,
relax.
He outdueled Bembest, right? And Yosmite. Nobody was like, man, Beasthalo's a bottom 5 main tank going into the league, but Bembest is top tier. You know what I mean? If anyone else was in that bottom 5 echelon, it was Bembest as well. So yes, he outdueled Yosmite and Bembest, but at the same time, those are 2 people who were benched last year. I want to see how he does up against a more experienced, a better Reinhardt, and then we'll really get to see the Beast.
Yeah. The Beast come out of its cage.
Exactly. What his potential really is. So that's my little rant. You can tell me your thoughts on Beast were.
No. That was the exact same. I actually just wanted to move on to one more person. I wanted to move on to that.
You're starting to cut out. Sorry, what was that?
I said there's nothing else I really have on him. Yeah. I think you covered everything pretty well. I just wanted to touch on Nevix real quick.
Nevix
as the last person. Yeah. Because I think obviously it's easy to say because Diva's thrusters are on 3-second cooldown, but Nevix was doing a whole lot of work. I think my top Nevix moment from and by Nevix I mean what he was doing is which helped Logix perform so well was he kept on disrupting Z. as a Widowmaker. He kept on denying him space, challenging him, getting him flustered, which like made it so that Logix had easier shots on him. But one of the biggest parts was on first point Havana when Nevix pressured Z off of like a high ground position.
Yeah.
And then continued to immediately jet over and eat May's ults at the same time. And so it goes to show that Nevix was putting in a lot of work. He's putting in a lot of work that round, and I think that's one of the reasons, one of those like kind of unsung linchpin heroes that was getting us some wins during the game.
It's interesting you brought up Nevix, and this was one of the reasons why I went to the stats lab beforehand. Is I agree Nevix Havana was his best map, and I understand that you have to take these numbers a little bit with a grain of salt because he is, I think, the only D.Va player who ran into an Orisa Reinhardt exclusively, right? Every other D.Va player had other stuff they ran into. But over the weekend, he had the worst final blows per 10 minutes out of any D.Va. He had the worst hero damage out of any D.Va per 10 minutes by like a fairly noticeable margin. He had the worst solo kills per 10 minutes. He was the only D.Va who didn't get a single one. And he had the second highest deaths per 10 minutes out of any D.Va, only behind McGravy. And he received, it's not up on screen right now, but he received, I believe, the third highest amount of resources in order to generate all of this. Now, he was third in eliminations, but when you looked at it, like, if you go to his, and he also died, he was, of all the team fights, I believe he died first 19% of the time, which no D.Va was even close to that. Like, Hotbuff from NYXL died first 2% of the time. Obviously, D.Va, you have the ability to remech. You shouldn't be dying 19% of the time first. So, I think the only one who was actually close, which is interesting enough, was Choyobin, which is similar, because we also, our Lucios are fairly the way they play. So, I wanted to go back and watch that, but I'm not ready to talk about that. Anyways, so I actually thought that the numbers had painted a pretty negative picture for Nevix, but I don't want to look too much into it because, like you said, he did do work at Havana. So how much of this is, well, it's him and Beast's first game together. It's a brand new team. They're trying to figure out chemistry. And how much of this also was in Orisa Reinhardt composition, the McCree's main job really is to shut down that D.Va, right? He can put a lot of pressure on the D.Va.
Yeah.
He can use his stun to the D.Va. And no McCree in the entire league, over the weekend at least, was better than XZ. XZ, he got the most damage per 10 minutes out of anybody. And also...
And also...
He didn't have another D.Va to go up against, right? The Rein Orisa, they want to brawl on point. It doesn't allow for D.Va to catch as many people out of position. So...
Yeah, and also it's like what are Bumper stats too? Like, Bumper probably had the,
No, Bumper had good stats.
Last season.
No, Bumper had good stats.
Well, he did, but like if you looked at his stats, like like how many times is he the first person to die? It'd be like every time.
Yeah, but it's different because he's a main tank, right? Like that's the issue though. The D.Va's a little bit it's different because Janu doesn't die a lot the first time because he's D.Va, right? Like it's a different position. I know what you mean. I know what you're saying, that the numbers don't paint the whole picture, and you're right. Because again, it's like he's running into a sim. How many D.Vas had to run into a sim as much as Nevix did? And Sim just eats through D.Va.
I feel like the D.Va now is a little bit different than the D.Va from GOATs. Whereas like D.Va from GOATs is like...
But I'm comparing it to people over the weekend who...
No. But what I'm saying is that... I guess you're comparing to people over the weekend. But I feel like Nevix... I know. I'm trying to justify his stats right now.
No, it's fine. I mean, you can say that... Because again, you also brought up Havana as a really good... And that was by far his best map. I completely agree that Havana was his best map. And it was also a map that he did have to run against the Sim. And there's reasons to justify this where, like, going up against fully charged Symmetra as a D.Va player sucks, right? Like, it's not easy. He's the only one who had to exclusively go up against a Reinhardt Orisa composition. Nobody else had to do that exclusively. So there's reasons to justify this. It's just something that I'm going to continue to watch moving forward. I'm not coming down here saying Nevix sucks. That alt lead was really good. I was a big fan of Nevix before the season started. It's one game. We're going to give it more time. It was something that I noticed when I was going through the numbers, was that the numbers were painting a negative picture. Thought I'd bring it up, and I'm going to continue watching it moving forward.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I think he had to give up some of those numbers to accomplish what he was accomplishing, which was essentially map control.
Exactly. Yeah, and I do agree with that.
Like when you go out of the limb to like put a Widow out of their place, you're controlling the map, but obviously you're going to draw aggro too. So he's drawing a lot of aggro, drawing a lot of map control. So So, if he consists, then it's maybe a problem. But he wasn't doing too bad.
No, and again, people who are also low on this list with final blows, it was Benar, right? Hero damage Benar, and what did Benar and Nevix had in common? Both of them had to go up against XC. Now Benar also had to go against NYXL, but what I'm trying to say, XC had a really good showing. So, the last person I want to talk about was Kelix. Kelix was another one who died first quite a lot for Lucio. I think didn't get a lot of damage off, especially in relation to FD God. I think FD God outplayed him, but Kelix did output a lot of healing. So it might be something to watch on how this team really utilizes the Lucio play, if he's more supportive or if he's more aggressive like FD God and Rein. But what were your thoughts on Kelix?
Honestly, I don't have any.
Yeah, the Lucio's
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't remember him playing anything. I wasn't paying attention to him.
I know of all the people, he died first the most of anyone on the Toronto Defiant. And in terms of who was eliminated first in a team fight, it was Kelix. Kelix died first the most.
Yeah, well, I guess it is what it is.
I'll pay more game.
Yeah. So I'm definitely excited for next one though.
Yeah, we play Philadelphia Fusion next, so not an easy game to come up. But since we don't have a game next week, we'll do our preview show for the Philadelphia Fusion next week because, one, that gives us an opportunity to see how they play at their homestand, which, is also next week. And then we can give more of a breakdown on how I think the Toronto Defiant are going to do against Philadelphia. Off the top of my head, that's a really good team. That's a tough second game to have. But
it is. But I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very excited to watch it.
So I'm all good for the show. Anything else you want to add before we head off?
No, I don't. Hey, if you're in Toronto though this weekend, make sure to on Sunday.
Oh yeah, you cut out a bit, but what Chris was saying was there's a meet and greet on Sunday, so come check it out. Overall, really good things. Can't wait for 2020. Super excited this year. If you guys liked it, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Again, check out our Twitter and our Instagram. We're going to be doing more highlight clips and stuff like that more consistently. I think it's a pretty fun thing to do. So with that being said, thank you and enjoy.